Ladies and gentlemen, this is your full Easter egg guide for the Shattered Veil. This one is pretty tricky, and I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this either solo or with an entire team. The steps can be a little bit finicky, and there's a lot of spawn locations for stuff, so I'm going to try to walk you through the most simple and easy to understand order of operations for this Easter egg as possible, and I'm going to give you some tips for the boss fight because it is a hard one. If this video helps you out, just consider subscribing. That's it, but let's get into it. As far as your setup goes, I actually don't have anything to recommend as far as guns. Use whatever you're comfortable with, but I ran the Siren 9mm in my game, but any AR or SMG will probably do the trick. Gobblegum I do think is rather important though, especially if you're playing solo. I recommend Perkaholic, Raindrops, Hidden Power, and I'm also going to recommend Power Keg and Insta-Kills if you've got them. To be honest, your setup isn't as important in this map as it is in other ones, and you'll see why that is when we get to the finale, but upon starting the game, there's actually quite a few things you can do, or I recommend you do in the early game, that will make the rest of your life easier as you do this quest. When you spawn in, I recommend taking the first couple rounds a little bit slow to get comfortable and familiar with the area, and also look out for two different things. You're going to be looking for these Project Janus crates and also these Prima Materia plants. Now, there's a handful of locations in the spawn, in the conservatory, even in the motor court before you enter the mansion itself. You're going to be looking out for these plants and boxes. Break the boxes if you find them to collect whatever's in it, most likely scrap, and also leave the plants where they are for the time being, but just kind of note if you do see one. You can look for these plants inside of the spawn area, kind of near the bridge, or there's this circular like stone court area that you can find them in as well. There's a few plants near the conservatory, and there's a few outside the actual mansion itself. Now, if you find any Janus boxes, you can break them, and if you find any of these plants, just take note of them for now. And also, what you can do in the early game is, as you're leaving spawn, you can head over to this left side where this lion fountain is, and you can interact with it, and you should pick up this reflector disc. This is one of two that you're going to need for a little bit later. Once you pick that one up, the second one you're going to find is inside the actual mansion itself. As soon as you enter the front door, you can head all the way up these stairs on the left, and you can cut through this hallway down to the left side as well, and you'll eventually come outside, and when you do, you're going to see another one over here on the right, and you can pick up the second reflector disc that we're also going to be using later as well. If you have these two already in the early game, you're doing very good. While you're out here, you can also look for additional plant locations. There's a couple out by Double Tap. There's one kind of in the corner near the box, and there's one up by these trees on the actual upper floor. But before you break any of these plants, we can go in through the main back doors here, and instead of going straight to the elevator, swing a right and see if you can pick up this sconce. Now, it can be on either side. It might not even be on the other side of the room, but you just want to pick up one of these lamps, and it should give you a quest item for that. Again, we're going to use this later, but you may as well go ahead and pick it up now. And before we go down into the elevator, you can also go left from that building and into the study. Here, you should be able to find a bell. Now, I'm going to put up all of the locations that I know about with this bell on screen. And if you can find it right here, if you can see what it looks like in game, you're just going to want to pick this up. You might need to break the glass on these drawers in order to pick this up, but the bell should be somewhere around the study, most likely in one of these locations. Like I said, any ones that I don't show on screen, I will have linked in the description. If you really can't find the bell, don't worry, we can come back to it later. For now, we can get the access to the elevator going. So you're going to want to come over here and then run the elevator, and it's going to tell you that it's broken, and you're going to need to gather two different pieces for this. One of them, you're going to have to get Richtofen's computer, and the other is going to be from a security guy kind of near the library or just past the study. With these two pieces in combination, you can head to the back of the elevator, repair the circuit, and that should get it functioning again. You can rebuild the elevator, and then once you open the doors, you should be able to descend down to the underground section here where Sam is located. And from here, really the only thing you need to do is push until round 10 so that you can start getting a lab scientist. And while you're waiting to get to round 10, we can actually do something and access one of our canisters right away. You can see this chamber in Sam's room with a valve inside of it, and in order to access it, you need to look to the left, and there's going to be a letter that either says A or B, and you're going to want to build a couple of tomahawks at the crafting table. I recommend 2 or 3. If you've got enough scrap for that, you can head over here to the service tunnel, and you can see where these gas pipes go, and depending on what your letter says, if it says B, for example, you will throw your first tomahawk to turn on the pipe for B, and then you're going to throw the second one at the middle to send it through, and then the pipes are going to explode, it's going to overfill, and assuming you've done that right, it should look like this, and then you can head back over to that chamber in in Sam's room, and now it should have a big crack in it. But you still don't have access to the container, so what you need to do is find a way to blow it up. You can either use a Molotov to set the gas on fire, or you can use a Semtex, just something explosive. You know, one of these grenades are totally fine, and that should blow it up, giving you access to this canister. Once you've done that, now you should get to round 10, and then, you know, kill the scientist in order to get a floppy disk. He will always drop this as long as you're down in this section, and you'll be able to pick it up. Once you've gotten that floppy disk, head back to the upstairs section, and we're going to take a right here from the main entrance, and inside this room there is a computer, and you're going to want to put that floppy disk inside this so that you can kind of get like this fax machine going, and you can get a certain message. Now, this takes a little while to come up, so be patient, give it like maybe 20 or 30 seconds, and once your message is fully printed, you should be able to interact with it, and it will put text up on screen giving you a code, and this will be 4 letters. It could be like crab or, you know, pity or something like that. And then once you have those letters or your code, we're going to head over to the nursery area where this little chalkboard is, and I'm going to show you how this works. It's very easy. Essentially, you have 4 letters that represent a number. And our goal is to get 4 numbers, and my code in my game was crab, so you can see in the top left here, the C is in a cluster of what appears to be 5 letters. So my first number is 5. My R is located in the cluster with 7 letters, so that one is also 7. The A is also there, and then the B is over in the 5 cluster section again. So you're just looking for how many letters are in that cluster where that letter appears, and that is your number. So my code, having crab, is 5775. Once you've nailed down exactly what your number code is, you're going to head downstairs back into the service tunnel, and you're going to see this glass safety door with the doppelgast behind it. You should be able to interact with this keypad and input that very same code. Once you do that, it's going to open up, and then you're going to kill this doppelgast plus the toxic zombie that comes out with it, and it's going to drop a severed arm. You're going to pick up this severed arm, head down through the service tunnel once again, and enter the armory. Once you're in here, you can use the severed arm to, you know, scan the keypad, and that should give you access to the free ray gun Mark II. Now, this is the base variant, and you can do a few interesting things with this. Now, we can go and collect a couple of items with the base Mark II if you want to. If you found 4 plants in your game already, I recommend you take your Mark II and go shoot all of those plants to get a seed, and as you can see, they're just going to pop out for you to collect. You can also use a Semtex if you don't have a base ray gun Mark II. I should mention that any upgrades will not work on these plants. Either use an explosive like a Semtex or a base Mark II. That's pretty much it. We can also worry about collecting plants later. In the meantime, you need another canister, and that can be acquired by breaking these 115 crystals that are scattered around the map. There's one here in the conservatory, there's one here a little bit closer inside the mansion, there's one on this west balcony, there's one on the east rooftop, and then finally there's one over here as well. And then next, you're going to need 1500 salvage exactly to build a Gersh device. And for those people who have no clue what the hell I'm talking about when I say Gersh device, it's an LT53 Casimir. You can build this at the crafting table. You put together one of these, and you're going to come up to this barrier just behind double tap and throw it just at the base of the barrier. You don't even need to throw it inside, but it's going to pull one of the canisters out from behind that wall, and then it should spit out the 3rd and final canister that you'll need. From here on out, you can do these steps in any particular order, but I'm going to show you the order that I did mine in, because now that we've gathered all of the parts from the early game, assuming you have the bell, assuming you know where a lot of your plants are, and assuming you've broken enough Janus crates to obtain this essence bomb, you need to probably play until you get this bomb. So once you have that acquired, we're going to go ahead and start with the purple ray gun, because it is pretty easy. What you need to do is take that very essence bomb that we got from one of the random Janus boxes, and we're going to take it down to the service tunnel and place it on this pile of debris. It's going to explode, revealing a totally brand new room. Once we enter here, we need to kill 3 doppelgast souls, and the way to do this is actually using the reflector panels that we picked up earlier. I'm going to show you exactly where I place mine, and once they're placed down, you can go ahead and place one of those canisters inside of this yellow machine, which will cause a light to spawn in. Once you have this, you're going to want to move the reflectors until the beam is shining at one of these 3 doppelgast doppelgast statues. Once it is, you melee the crystal to send the orb through the beam of light, and once it reaches its destination at the, actual statue, it's going to spawn a real doppelgast that you're going to kill. And you're going to do this for all 3 of the statues. You're going to move the reflectors, move the beam until you're able to spawn in all of them, and then eliminate all 3 of them. There's a few locations where you can place the reflector on in this room, so if you're having a hard time, try moving the reflector from upstairs or like that upper platform and move it down to this lower location and try a different angle. You can just play around with this as long as you want and just try to get these to work. It's honestly not too hard at all. And then once you've killed all 3 doppelgast, basically the canister that we place in the yellow machine should be fully charged purple, and you can take that fully charged canister up to Richtofen's room, and you can see that there is this machine in here that will allow you to convert your base ray gun into this purple one. Now again, you can hold on to your regular ray gun right now, or you can go ahead and swap it, but you have to do 2 different things depending on what you do. If you go ahead and choose to swap it, what I recommend you do is with this new purple ray gun, you take yourself over to this set of computers that's right next to the elevator, and then you're going to interact with it and have to kill a couple of zombies to make this painting become a secret room. After killing a few zombies, you'll get access to this room back here, and then you're going to want to drink this ritual blood that is found on the center of the table in the room. Your character should give you a quote once you've drinking it, and that will allow you to participate in the next step. There are 3 different silver chalices around the map that you need to interact with and kill the disciple that it spawns in. The first one is found in the bottlery right here. It's a very tight space, so just be careful about this one, but you're going to go ahead and spawn it in, and you're going to eliminate the disciple that comes from it. And you'll know you've done it right when you not only see blood in the chalice, but also a chaos symbol above it as well. You don't really need to know what the symbol means, so don't worry about this too much, but once that one's done, then the second chalice is actually located near spawn, like pretty much just outside of the spawn room over here on this left side bench. Do the exact same thing, place the chalice down, and once again run it and kill the disciple that spawns along with it. The third and final chalice is located inside the mansion, and it's literally just above the main entrance, kind of close to the bar. You can do these in any order, but this is just the one that I selected. You were going to do the exact same thing and finish up this chalice and kill all of the disciples that are associated with it. Once all 3 chalices are completed, you can head over to the elevator where we initially went downstairs, and on these walls are going to be 3 different codes, and as you can see, you're going to input all 3 of these sequences into a safe. The safe can be found in the death perception room. It's actually very easy to get to from the location of the codes itself. You can walk right into this room and then input that on the safe. Once you've done that successfully, you should get this like deer key, whatever this like antler thing is. It can be kind of tricky right here, so just be a bit careful, but once you've picked this item up, this is your ritual piece for that room. We're going to head back to the purple secret room that we unlocked and place the ritual item on this pedestal. Should give you the sentinel artifact starting a trial. Now these are pretty easy, I'm not going to lie. All it's going to do is spawn an HVT that has a special shield that can only be destroyed by that specific ray gun. So at this point you should still have the purple ray gun, and that will allow you to break his shield and ultimately kill him. Once he's dead, that step is complete. From this point we can consider the purple ray gun and the purple room completely done. What we're going to do next is the blue ray gun. This one involves the bell and is pretty simple once you have all of those pieces as well. Now once you've got the canister, we're going to take that one over to this machine kind of closer to spawn. Once you place it in, you should go to the center and an abomination is going to spawn in. If you're playing with a team, it'll likely be 2 abominations, and for this challenge all you need to do is get them to do their shock beam attack and hit these 3 different rocks around the arena. You probably need to do it one at a time, like you can't really do this super quickly, and then you also need them to do this like charge attack move in order to get the rocks to raise. So they need to be hit with 2 of the abomination's different abilities, and once your rocks start looking like this, you'll know you've done it correct. Once all 3 are up, it's actually going to begin this lockdown where vermin are going to try to disrupt the portal, and your job is to keep the vermin out of the center and try to defend this as much as you can. This does get a little bit intense, especially when regular zombies start spawning in, so please be very careful here. Use gobblegum if you need to, use nukes or anything you've got in your arsenal, because this one can be a little bit challenging, but you need to keep the vermin out of the center for a little over a minute, and once that's all done, it should look like this. It will flash white, and that should make the canister that we placed in the yellow machine fully charged for you to pick up. From here, we can take ourselves over to the grand foyer inside of the mansion and head to this left side, and if we picked up that sconce or that that lamp from earlier, you should be able to place it on this open location where it looks like it's been removed. And from here, it's a very easy step. It's going to flash in a Simon Says-like way. There's 3 rounds of this, so it's either left or right, and it's a very easy input sequence. Just pay attention if it shines left twice or if it shines left once and right once, and you just follow that for 3 rounds. It should be no problem. Once that's been done correctly, the wall should slide down, revealing this entire other chamber down here. And once you've accessed this area, just like what we did with the purple ray gun, we're going to interact with these computers and kill a couple of zombies with that specific color ray gun. It can only be that color, obviously, to generate the portal or for you to be able to travel through the painting, and it only takes a couple of zombies. It's very easy. So once that's open for you, you should be able to jump on through. And for this one, all you need to do is remember that we got that bell from earlier, and we're going to head back upstairs, and you also need to go ahead and put brain rot on your gun. This can be acquired at any of the arsenal stations, but you're going to want to equip your gun with brain rot, and once you have that, we're going to place the bell on the counter here, and then we're going to try to brain rot a zombie in this location. Once we've done that, we're going to immediately ring the bell, and assuming you've done this correctly, that brain rotted friendly zombie should jump over the counter and, find a bottle of alcohol, take a little swig from it, and then give it to you as a reward, and that is exactly the ritual item that we need. This one's pretty simple to get as well, so pick up that bottle of alcohol and then take it back down into the blue portal, and then we're going to place it on the ritual pedestal, beginning another trial. Same deal as the purple room. It's going to spawn an HVT with a blue shield that, once again, can only be broken with the blue ray gun. So once you've done that, then finally we've collected 2 of the ritual challenges, and they're all done. The last one we need to do is probably the trickiest, and this is the yellow. So in order to build the base yellow ray gun, what you're going to need to do is find 4 different plants. These are the ones I was telling you to make note of earlier, and if you know where all 4 premium materia plants are, you can go ahead and break them with an explosive that should give you a seed like this. Once you've collected all 4, we can head to the conservatory, where you need to place these inside of these growth chambers, and you can do them one at a time, and you're going to see that the progress bar kind of goes up in chunks. You're going to place all 4 seeds in all 4 of these growth things, and this will probably take a couple of minutes if you are doing all of them at once. You got to defend each seed for around a minute, and just be careful here because you do push a lot of rounds doing this, which is why I kind of recommend you do it later. But either way, once you've defended all 4 of these seeds inside of the conservatory, that should be all done, and that valve on this backside where you place the empty one initially should be charged, and then you can pick that up and go over to the spawn workshop where you can place this canister in to upgrade your ray gun to this kind of like marksman rifle one, and it shoots this like yellow blight. So once you have this ray gun, we can now begin the trial for this one. Interact with the computer and once again get kills until the library painting will open. Once you're through here, we can start doing the next step, and you're going to need Aether Shroud for this, and I'm going to try to make this as easy for you as I can. You need to have Aether Shroud, and you need to find 3 different documents that can only be found in that mode, and they're this really like bright glowing blue ethereal look. They're very easy to spot, and a lot of locations can be found in these fireplaces over here. Some can be found upstairs, kind of like near this couch. Some can actually be found just to the left of the bar, but what I'm going to say is that you need to just basically confine all of your searching to this like right side of the mansion where the library, the study, and the bar are. It can be either on the top or bottom section. It can be in the study over here, but basically you're going to be looking for one of these, actually 3 of these different little books. And another tip is that even if your Aether Shroud runs out, these things will still be spawned in and available to be picked up for a couple of seconds after. So if your Aether Shroud runs out, don't worry in that moment. You can still find and pick up the ones that you're looking for if you happen to be pretty close to it. So you just need to find 3 of these different documents. And if you're having a really hard time with this, like I said, I'm going to have a link in the description for some of the locations. But as long as you kind of confine your search to this area and you check the study, the library, the bar, and the upper foyer, this one shouldn't give you too much trouble. But once you found all 3, your library inside of the secret room should look like this. You should see these 3 floating blue books, and they're all going to have a symbol on it. Now, I like to input these in like reverse order, so from right to left. When you walk out here, this is like a mirrored universe, and you're going to essentially input the books in the reverse order that they are in the library. Now, here's the thing though, it's really easy because even if your order doesn't work, you can just trial and error this and, just need to get the sequence right. It's very simple. There's really no penalty for messing up, so you just input these books in the right order, all 3 of them, and then it should open open this secret room back here when done correctly, and there's going to be these documents in the back, and these are the documents that were trying to be hidden, so we're going to take these and bring them back into the library and place this item, the ritual item, on the pedestal. And you know the deal at this point. You're going to place this in, and you're going to kill an HVT that is what Treyarch said was not on this map. Yes, it's an amalgam. This one can be a little bit harder because the amalgam does have a lot of health, but I've noticed that after a couple of seconds in here, his shield doesn't really seem to regenerate all that much. So, you know, you just need to survive as long as you can and make sure that this thing doesn't take you down, and you need to obliterate his shield and kill this amalgam as quickly as possible. But don't, you know, rush it too much. Don't panic. Once you've killed this amalgam, then that is all of the rituals done, and you are essentially ready for the boss fight. But if you've done up to this point, I wouldn't recommend going into the boss fight just yet, because there's a couple of very key things that you need to know. Before you go into the boss fight, I'm going to recommend that you take the blue ray gun into the fight. Once again, you can always, you know, reconvert your ray gun inside of the storage area, kind of like just past the service tunnel. So I would have the blue ray gun for this 100%. And I would also strongly recommend that you make it tier 3 pack-a-punch, because this is going to be your primary weapon in the boss fight. Not exactly your bullet gun, which is what we're mostly used to in Black Ops 6. We're actually going to be using the ray gun for the most part here. I'm also going to recommend, if you can, especially if you're playing solo, bring in maybe like another perkaholic or a raindrops or even a killjoy, because insta-kill will help increase damage to the boss if we do need it. And I am going to recommend that you bring in a chopper gunner. They're not always useful in bosses, but in this particular one, it is absolutely insane. So definitely use your extra scrap to bring in a chopper gunner, and of course make sure to have all your perks and stuff like that. But once you have all of those things in order, then you are mostly set up for the boss fight, and we can go ahead and talk to Sam. And by this point, all of the rituals have been done, and she should accept the Sentinel artifact. This is going to throw you into the boss fight, but before that, there is a mid-game cutscene, which I'm not going to play. I don't want to spoil you guys. I'll let y'all experience that in-game. So I'm going to cut to the actual main boss, which is the T-Rex that's come to life. Now, you are fighting the Z-Rex in this boss, and just as a general game plan, I'm going to give you a strategy for taking this down. You can think about this boss as having 4 separate phases, each divided by about 25% of its health. The first 2 phases are honestly really easy, and the only thing you pretty much need to do is evade it and deal as much damage as you can to either the side of him, where he takes, you know, pretty substantial damage, or his eyes. And he does this move where he spawns in toxic zombies, but he's very punishable for a long time, so definitely take advantage of that window when you do have it. You're going to whittle down his health until he hits about, you know, 75%, and then he's going to go invulnerable for a little bit. After that sequence is done, he's going to come back to you, and you're going to do the same thing. And then in the second half is where things get a little bit more interesting, because he gets very increased speed, and the zombies get a lot more aggressive too. Do not ever try to challenge this boss. Keep your distance as much as you can. There's really no time pressure otherwise, and you want to not get hit by toxic zombies, because they are going to slow you down, typically leading into a combo from the Z-Rex himself. So that is the deadliest thing you do not want to get hit by in this fight. At all costs, just avoid getting hit by toxic zombies and stay far away from the Z-Rex. But you're going to do the same thing still. Try to hit as many critical points as you can with your ray gun and whittle his health down until he's about at 25%. Once you get to this point, he's going to come back for one final phase, and you can either try to just tank this with everything you got, or you can use the chopper gunner here and take off about 90% of his health. You're not going to outright kill him if you started at the phase, but if you've gotten to this point, you should be able to finish it off rather quickly. As soon as your chopper gunner runs out, there should only be just a small sliver of health remaining on him. But if you're able to survive all of that, then you have beaten the Z-Rex. Congratulations, guys, and that is how you complete the Shattered Veil main Easter egg. Thank you all for watching. If this did help, just leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.